Welcome back to my little channel. Today I'm going to address a topic that I've been thinking about a long time, but I haven't really made any video on at this point in time. I'm going to address who is allowed to give critique to Islam. Now, what's the reason that I haven't made any video on this topic yet? Well, that's quite simple. The main reason for that is because giving critique on Islam is considered to be an Islamophobic action. It's funny how that goes. So if you disagree with anything of Islam, that automatically means you're an Islamophobe. It's basically the same that if you critique feminism, you must be a woman hater. And if you critique certain actions of certain people of color, immediately you must be a racist. Well, it's not true. And I'm going to address it in the best way I can, in a small video showing one Muslim talking over another Muslim because that other Muslim gave critique on Islam.
The events in Manchester have sent shockwaves right around the world, and now Australia's Muslim leaders are speaking out against the atrocity. Joining us now, Dr. Jamar Rafi, who's a prominent figure in Sydney's Lebanese Muslim community, and Sheikh Imam Tawhidi from the Islamic Association of South Australia.
Okay, so the stage is set. We're going to hear from Dr. Jamar Rafi and Sheikh Imam Tawhidi. Now, for all of you who don't know this, an imam is basically like a priest in the Catholic Church. Something like that anyway. And, well, a doctor is someone who's educated in some field.
First you, Imam. The suicide bomber, 22 years old, born in Manchester. How did these young people get radicalised?
And the first to speak is the imam, the religious leader. Let's hear what he has to say.
Good morning. Basically, we need to be very realistic when dealing with this matter. You have a 22-year-old who gets radicalized over 2 or 3 sermons within a Friday mosque gathering. And the killer of Curtis Chang in Sydney was 15-year-old. And just on the 23rd of this month, 2 days ago, we had a 22-year-old female who is now being arrested, or was arrested, after having ties with ISIS in Adelaide. Now, this age is an age where someone would expect people to be going out, having fun. But no, we have a large number of youth that are being radicalized. This happens because of the books that we have, the Islamic scriptures that we have. They push the Muslim youth to believe that if you go out there and you kill the infidel, that's how you will gain paradise.
I am pretty sure that those who did not know Imam Tawhidi basically, well, can pick up their jaws from the floor now. Because who would have thought this would come from an imam? This is very clear criticism of Islam. I mean, listen carefully to what he says.
This age is an age where someone would expect people to be going out, having fun. But no, we have a large number of youth that are being radicalized. This happens because of the books that we have, the Islamic scriptures that we have. They push the Muslim youth to believe that if you go out there and you kill the infidel, that's how you will gain paradise.
Now, I know a lot of non-Muslims have said stuff like this already, people that have actually read the Quran and some of the Hadiths. But this is coming from an imam. So it's not just people from the outside complaining. Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of Muslims that are talking on how their faith needs to go to a reformation, just like Christianity has gone through several times. But this is the first time I actually hear an imam saying, wait a second, we breed terrorism. Okay, he doesn't say it in such words, but radicalization is something that is common within his faith, and he is speaking out against this. But let's continue.
But they're listening to preachers, if you like, sermons, 2 or 3 sermons by clerics like yourself, radical clerics. What do you more moderate clerics do to out your compatriots who are turning these young Muslims?
This is actually a really good question, but in all fairness, this is usually also the time when people start shouting, "Ooh, Islamophobe." But let's see how Imam Tawhidi answers this question.
Well, it is very hard being a peaceful, moderate person within a society that is infested by extremist Muslims. I will not deny this fact.
Yeah.
We have a large number of Muslims that are extremists, even in Australia, and we see them when they come out in the Sydney riots, and we see them attacking the police.
So we're being infested by radical clerics here in Australia?
Yes, clerics and followers as well, and I've said this to many government authorities.
So here we have an imam who's actually speaking out against the radicalization of Muslims. This is a good thing because, in all fairness, I've often said the problem isn't Muslims. The problem is Islam. Islam calls out for radicalization. This imam basically said the same thing. And he already talked to officials and warned them. Okay, so we have an imam speaking out against Muslim terrorism. So who's the one who's going to speak in favor of Muslim terrorism?
Jamal, you've constantly condemned many acts of terror. Do Muslim leaders have to be more vocal? The Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister yesterday were surprised that Muslim leaders were silent yesterday on this whole issue. Do you have to be more aggressive, or do you live in fear?
Look, we don't live in fear. We live in a very peaceful country.
This is Dr. Jamar Rafi. He's a medical doctor, so he has some serious education on his side. But an important little note, he is a Sunni Muslim, and Sheikh Tawhidi is a Shia Muslim. Throughout history, there has never been peace between Sunni and Shia. But that's beside the point. So we have a Shia Imam saying we need to look at our religion, and when asked a question, a Sunni Muslim says, well, we live in a safe country. Okay, so then you need to speak out against things, because those are the two things that was an option. Do we need to speak out, or do you feel unsafe? I feel safe. Therefore, does that not mean you need to speak out?
I don't know where the Imam got his information from. First of all, these scriptures existed for hundreds of years. They didn't incite for violence or terror act. It is an ideology of the so-called Islamic State and Daesh, and they are actually targeting the vulnerable young people, impressionable people.
Remember how I just said that there has never been peace between Shia and Sunni Muslims? Well, look it up. Don't take my word for it. But since the very conception of Islam, Islam has been engaged in an expansion war throughout, well, the Middle East, Europe, and India, and Africa. Sorry, almost forgot Africa. I mean, people always talk about how the Crusades were a terrible thing done to the Islamic world, but people seem to have forgotten that the Islamic world got attacked by the Crusades in 1080. I'm doing this by heart, but the Islamic world already took over most of the Christian world in the Middle East, and even Spain by let's say 725. So that's 300 years before the First Crusade. Islam has always been expansion driven. And even now we have a Sunni Muslim telling us that the problem isn't Islam because there is no reason to be violent according to Islam. Then explain the history of Islam.
Okay. But we are Australian. Our Prime Minister has expressed the feeling of the nation, and that includes Australian Muslims. Our Grand Mufti only yesterday, Grand Mufti have condemned this act.
Abdul Aziz ibn Abdullah al-Ashik, that's the Grand Mufti, who in 2012, I think, said that all Christian churches must be destroyed in the Arab Peninsula. Well, he did speak out against terrorism too. I'll not deny that. But yeah, he's not a symbol of wisdom. He is still a hate speaker. I mean, this is the same Grand Mufti that said, well, girls from 12 years old, yeah, that's old enough to get married. 10 years old, oh yeah, sure, that's old enough to get married. That Mufti, right? But after having said all that I have said, And after having said all that he has said, he still has not answered. Do Muslims need to speak out more against terrorism? Muslim leaders. Why is he not answering that question?
We have shouted from the rooftops our condemnation of these acts.
Okay, I have to be honest. I mean, if I'm going to be a bitch and say he didn't say it, then I have to also say, well, he did say it. He did say just now he condemned these acts. So where does the disconnect come from?
Now,
Imam,
what more can we do? Only last
Jamal,
week...
Imam, you're shaking your head. Is
I'm
there
not
a
happy at all.
disconnect
I
between
disagree.
Muslim leaders?
I disagree. I disagree. We have a situation where there is a month doesn't go by without a terrorist attack happening somewhere around the world. And for the past 1,400 years, we have had a religion of war. That's exactly what we have had. This is not something I'm imagining. These are facts. We've had many wars. How did Islam spread from Saudi Arabia down to Indonesia and Bosnia? All spread by the sword. We had many wars. Yeah. And for someone to come and say these Islamic scriptures have nothing to do with it, I mean, that's against the facts. That's not true. The Islamic scriptures is exactly what is pushing these people to behead the infidel. Let me tell you something. The people that are beheading, that the person that killed the young girls in Manchester did so believing he was going to dine with the Prophet Muhammad that very night. And that is because the Islamic scriptures...
That's not true. There is nothing... There is
that
nothing in Islam that will justify...
Do not lie to the Australian nation.
Listen,
we have
there is
in our
nothing
books
in
the
Islam
teachings
that will
of
justify killing innocent people.
To behead people and
These
to kill and massacre people. You cannot sit there and lie to the Australian people. Wait a second.
So this is how it goes. Not even a Muslim is allowed to criticize Islam because another Muslim will tell him he's wrong. And how far does it go? We have a sheikh, an imam saying, this is what's happening. This is what's in our holy texts. And then we have a follower, a Muslim. That's basically the highest role he has. Okay, he's a doctor, but that's a Western title. But within the Muslim community, all he is another Muslim who's going to say, wait a second, what you're saying goes against what I want to believe. You have to be wrong. Because if you're not wrong, my religion is wrong. And my religion can't be wrong, even though you know the scripture better than I do. And somehow the Western world is going to listen to the doctor and not to the imam.
Hang on, let's give Ryder a reply.
Do not lie to the Australian public.
Reply to Jamal.
Do not lie to the Australian public. Our books teach the beheading of people.
Jamal, you go ahead.
I never lied in my life. I've always said what I believe in, and what I believe in is the truth.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't really hear it, I will play it again because this is too beautiful to be true and too stupid to be honest.
I never lied in my life. I've always said what I believe in, and what I believe in is the truth.
Here is some epic level of doublethink going on. No, seriously, I will slow it down for you. You can actually hear him say it.
I never lied in my life. I've always said what I believe in, and what I believe in is the truth.
Yeah, you heard it. I mean, this is why you cannot argue with people who are ideologically driven, because they believe what they say. And because it's what they believe, it must be the truth. Never mind the fact that you could be wrong. Your belief in something could be wrong. No. You believe it, therefore it must be true. For example, he believes Islam is all about peace, so he can easily ignore the more than 1,000 years of bloodshed in the name of Allah, because it's not what he believes. Reality be damned. And these are the people that are shaping the narrative. These are the people that, for some stupid reason, we have to listen to an imam to criticize Islam, and then a follower of Islam doesn't allow this critique of Islam, therefore the imam must be wrong. Now, thank God it's an imam, because otherwise he would have been called an Islamophobe. But did you hear the reasoning? Seriously, I'm going to play it one more time.
I never lied in my life. I've always said what I believe in, and what I believe in is the truth.
I think we have another contestant for the stupidest remark ever uttered. And that's, well, damn right hard, considering that the other contester is this one.
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
But in all fairness, we have been given time to get used to Anita's idiocy. And I know some people claim that it's taken out of context because she said it, well, for over a year I believed this and I was acting like this. Well, that basically means you still believe it. You might not act like it anymore, but yeah, never mind. Let's go back though, because I don't know if it's as stupid as Dr. Rafi. I can't get my head around it.
I never lied in my life. I've always said what I believe in, and what I believe in is the truth.
I never thought I would see the day that an imam would make more sense than a doctor. And I'm not saying this because Imam Tawhidi is saying what I'm thinking or what I'm reading when I'm reading the Quran, but the fact that there is an imam who's actually saying, listen, this is something that has been going on for more than 1,000 years. We cannot claim it's not in Islam. We cannot claim it's not in our holy books. This has been going on for more than 1,000 years. But of course, we have someone who spoke out against Islam. So we kind of know what will happen next. And yes, there have been threats against him. And yes, he has been attacked by people on the streets. Now, it hasn't gone too violent yet, but if you scour the YouTubes, you will find videos of it, which is scary. It seems that everyone who criticizes Islam, whether they are a Muslim themselves or not, is fair game. They are putting their lives at risk. We can see this, for example, in, Rahil Raza, or Ayan Hirsi Ali, or Irshad Manji, or Eshan Jami. There are more and more and more names. But the fact that there are so many names of people who have to worry about their lives because they basically left Islam or criticized Islam, it basically says something about the religion of Islam, don't you think? This is something we need to address. We cannot address this by saying, well, but Islam is a religion of peace. Because when we do this, we basically tell Muslims that hope to get their religion revised and reformed into a modern religion, we tell them, you know what, fuck you. If you get killed by another Muslim, we're not going to care because Islam is a religion of peace. ISIS? No, that's not Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. Bombings in Paris, Manchester, Belgium, America? No, that's not Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. Bombings of Copts in Egypt? No, that's not Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. Sufi Muslims getting killed by Sunni Muslims? No, that's not Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. Never mind the fact that both sides of this conflict are Muslims, but only one of these sides in this conflict is killing the other one. And I know that the Grand Mufti spoke out against killing people. Yes, he did. But at the same time, Saudi Arabia is supporting just about every Wahhabist out there. There's a reason that, let's say, 95% of all terrorists in the last 5 years have been Sunni. And I'm saying 95% because I don't want to say 99% because then I have to do the math. But when I say 95%, I don't even have to do the math because it's fucking evident. Feel free to prove me wrong though. Please do. Anyway, here my rant ends. I have to thank Sheikh Imam Tawhidi to risk his life and speak out, as I have to thank people like Ayan Hirsi Ali or Rahil Raza, because these are Muslim women that put their lives out there as well. Well, I don't think Ayan Hirsi Ali is Muslim anymore. I think she left faith, which made her an apostate, which is another reason she can be killed. I return to my rant. I shouldn't Please feel free to share, like and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Criticism, as always, is more than welcome. And I hope to see you all next time.